Hey, welcome back to another episode of It's a Football Thing. As always, I'm your host with the most, RJ, joined by my fellow hosts, Scott the Gooner, Rob the Red Devil. How are we this evening, gentlemen? Scott, you pulled the funny face, so mate, why don't you tell us how you're going?
Host with the most, mate. Certainly not the most hair, that's for sure.
The most
Boom,
Champions
went there
Leagues
already.
in London. That's what I was talking
Went there
about.
already. You know it.
Good
Robbie?
man, good man.
Yeah, if you've got the most Champions Leagues in one, we've got the most Champions Leagues out of the three of us, so I'll take that one.
Well played.
Oh dear, we've gone there already. Wow, what a
That's
start to
it.
the
Gloves
show.
are off, boys. This is like State of Origin preview already. It's all happening.
RJ, how are you, champion?
Well, I was much better after Rob usurped me just then. But in all seriousness, it's good to get back. I love talking football. Obviously, FPL is a big theme tonight, which is what's happening. Sterling, as you know, is really, really close now to joining Chelsea. And I think that's going to be a massive signing. We won't talk on him too much. But overall, doing well, man. I was just watching a bit of Ninja Warrior before for those down under. Ninja Warrior, I'm a big fan of that. And absolutely incredible athletes. Highly recommend. So that's how I'm going, boys.
Beautiful. It's good to hear. Let's just acknowledge a couple of the champions in the live chat before we move on. Tom from the United Pubcast, good friend of ours, got an early flight. Of course you do. You've got a big tour coming up. Please get to the United Transfer Talk to help set me to sleep. There you go. FPL Rubber Ducky, morning, evening. Yep. Quack, quack to you, my friend. Looking forward to hearing your views a little bit later on in the show. We've got Declared in the house. We've got Jake here too. Pleasure to have you guys here. Absolute pleasure. And I'm sure more friends will jump in soon. A little bit of a game plan for tonight. We're going to talk about some of the transfers. It's actually been relatively quiet since Thursday night. But we are going to cover Raphina, Sterling, Kante. Could he be a gunner?
Surely Kante.
Yeah, I agree with RJ.
We'll see. We'll talk about some of the transfer rumours. I want to talk a little bit about Barca. Now, we do focus more so on the Premier League, but for a club that's meant to be skint with no money, they're not doing too shabby at the moment. So I want to talk a little bit about Barca, get your views. Obviously, we're going to get into the Fantasy Premier League, going to see what everyone's tactics are, see how our teams are progressing along, and hear from some of the experts in the chat. And boys, I think we have to acknowledge today, I've got my A-League All-Stars jersey on because it was a victory for the A-League today, for Melbourne victory.
A Melbourne victory, I like that.
A big signing with Nani coming down, as a marquee. And that's the kind of marquee we need. But we're going to talk a bit about that later too. It's a big night. We're going to get it right into it, boys. We've got the football capital here too. We've got EMAD here. As I said, A-League All-Stars kit, because we're the All-Stars and we're going to talk some A-League too. Sterling and Kante. Obviously, we can see that Sterling is getting close to done. This one's all but done. We all know it's happened. And I think that's a really good signing for Chelsea. You did share your thoughts a little bit on Thursday, but RJ, I want to ask you about the price point too, because I think financially, this is a big win for Chelsea. I think it was about 42.5 million.
47.5.
Yeah,
47.5 for a player of that caliber. I think this is a win for Chelsea Football Club. You've got to be happy with that.
Surely, absolutely. But I'm not just happy because of the price point about what's he achieved. It's about the point in his career where he's still got so much more to offer. 27, peak years. The thing about Raheem is that he feels like a veteran because he broke onto the scene quite early. But now, and the more you listen to it, and I was listening to the byline with Alex, and he had a 6-part bumper series with a few Man City content creators and a few journalists, Henry Winter, so a few of the big players, and all unanimously agreed this was a very advantageous deal for Chelsea just because of not what the bloke has achieved, goals and assists wise, and his fluidity and his versatility, but his off-field attributes as well, and the fact that this guy is so self-driven and motivated. He's going to help the likes of your Callum Hudson-Odoi, your Christian Pulisic, your Mason Mounts. He's going to be a bit more of a role model type player. And I just think he's going to be a really top acquisition. So I can't wait to see him. There's no silver bullet. He's not going to dramatically catapult us to title favourites, but he's definitely going to add a lot of value to a team that's in transition.
But it's funny because a lot of people last season thought Lukaku, myself included, thought Lukaku was going to catapult you up to like serious title contenders, and we saw what happened there. Now, I think all things considered, Sterling might really, really help you to even get back into the title fight, but you've got a lot of work still to do. You've got to fix that defense. You've lost too many. But if you can get all of that done, I think adding someone like Sterling really improves your medal as well. Let's talk quickly. So. Let's go Kante, because Kante has been linked to practically every club in world football. I'm just waiting for Barca to swoop. But I was a little bit shocked to hear all these rumours linking Kante with other clubs, obviously linked to Arsenal, and dear Lord, please let it be. Let it be one. I'd love to get a good player from Chelsea for once. But quickly, why do you think he's being linked? Is this a smart move from Chelsea, or is this something that could come back to bite you?
Yeah, and I'm quite biased when it comes to obviously my main man, N'Golo. I think he's been a phenomenal ambassador for the game. What he's done at Leicester, what he's done at Chelsea, the nicest guy in football. And on his day, he is undisputed world-class talent. We all saw what he did in our Champions League run when we won it against City. And I just think the problem with someone like him is because he's unique in his attributes, meaning he's basically got two lungs and he's got that stamina like nobody else. He's unfortunately run himself into the ground. And I think because of his availability issues, so sometimes availability is your strongest asset. And unfortunately for someone like him, because he's worked so hard and been over-relied upon by all the past managers, we're starting to feel the ill effects of all of that now. So in terms of, is it a good time to part ways? Thomas Tuchel came out at the end of last season, and basically said, he is our version. He's our Kylian Mbappe. He's our superstar. He's non-negotiable. We don't want him out. Now, you can take it on face value because of what he's done. Obviously, exactly. I think
I heard you say that.
I said two lungs. I meant a third lung. That's it.
I thought I'd let it slide, but FPL Rubber Ducky didn't give you the same courtesy.
Well, he had a few quacky theories beforehand, so I'm glad he's got his listening ears on. But in all honesty, with someone like him, I'm torn because his contract situation, he's about to run on his last year now. Fact check that one. And because of his age, he's obviously past the 30 barrier. You've got to make a decision point at when's the right time to sell someone, despite them being in legendary status, which I'm of the view he has achieved. So for me, I'd entertain serious offers, but I think the destination is equally important. I wouldn't want to strengthen a Premier League rival, a direct rival. And also at the same time, it's all about, if you're going to let go of him, the price has to be right. That's a given. And equally, it's who do you replace him with, because he's such a unique profile. So there are players like Conor Gallagher. People have been talking about him because of his incredible engine. But again, this guy here, I think he gets a bit underappreciated at times by both our fan base and those outside of it. So,
what would you take for him, Arch? What do you reckon the price range would be for someone like him with 1 year left in his contract?
Well, considering what we paid for Sterling in that range last year, I wouldn't want to entertain anything under 50 million. Like, that's a very short answer up front, just because on his day, if he gets a full season where he rests a little bit and they use him properly, the guy's a genuine game changer. He's that world-class, in my opinion.
I don't think you'll get... The only club in world football with the money to give you 50 mil is Barcelona. But I don't see anyone else...
They're full of money, aren't they? That's right.
Look, because I think his injury record is no joke. Like, everyone knows it's there. And you know that if you sign this guy, you're not getting him for a full season automatically. So... to go and pump 50 million, and I think Chelsea have an excellent medical team. I'm sure you managed him well. Leicester managed him well, but as he's aging, his injury record is getting worse. And I don't think there's any medical team in world football that could keep this guy fit for the long
That's
haul.
what I would dispute. I don't think we managed him well, to be honest. I think we've overused him. And obviously we've had Club World Cups. We've had multiple competitions. He wouldn't have the same with anybody else. So I do think if they did use him wisely, the smart clubs that don't play him 3 times a week would get the absolute most out of him. So I hope he doesn't go. I hope they put that price up to act as a deterrent.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think provided he doesn't go run himself into the ground again, he's going to be someone that's going to carry us very far this season. So we'll see.
Robbie, would you take him at United?
No.
even though you're starting Fred and McTominay, you would not take Kante.
No, and like I said, because we need some consistency this year, and even though they're not, if they are going to be our two starting midfielders, which I still think they won't be, there's a long transfer window, and I do think we'll bring players in. But if we were to be Fred and McTominay, yeah, I'd still keep them for the consistency wise. They might not be nowhere near the caliber of a Kante, but for someone of a new manager and a new slate of like under a new system and stuff, we need someone. Number one, I couldn't see him, in a Ten Hag system, what we think is going to happen. That's no disrespect to him because he's a great player. But yeah, like I said, I think it'd be a
You don't think
thing.
he could? You don't think he would because of his high pressing nature? I think that's why he thrives more than most midfielders.
Look, we all know he's a great. Well, I like to call him a six. I think he'll just sit there, do all the dirty work. Likes to interrupt the counter attacks and stuff like that. But like I said, I'd rather the age for me is not an issue because I don't think what is he 31 or something.
Oh, not 100%.
31.
Yeah,
I think. It's
31.
31.
I don't think that's old, to be honest, man. Like players
No,
these
it's not.
days, if they do keep themselves in good in good fitness and stuff, it's the injury record that scares me. And we're very light in that system at the moment. So we would be probably having to use him quite a bit, between Europa League, Cup games, and obviously the league. I just think, yeah, if you got. Again, you guys, Chelsea, if they were to sell to a direct rival, if it was us, it wouldn't be for a cheap price either. I was thinking for a while there, while obviously the Ronaldo rumors came, could that possibly be like a little swap deal or with cash or something like that? Would it be good for both teams? You guys need goals. We need a defensive midfielder kind of thing. But look, if I'm going to say right now, it's no disrespect to Kante, but I wouldn't take him.
Man, look, I think the good thing here is he probably wouldn't want to go there anyway. So I think everyone wins. Everyone wins there. But look, any update on Jong, Robbie? Just quickly, have you heard any update?
Oh well, it's 8:44 here. The latest update I heard is that it's close, like I've heard for the past 3 months. But yesterday it wasn't close. But look, now in all seriousness, today I actually turned up for training for his first day of training at Barcelona, which to me means nothing because that's part of the protocol. They haven't. Exactly, I've seen so many times players go and then the next day they've changed. Look, apparently some of our big boys actually went over to Barcelona today to try and get the deal happening. Look, I this one here, I'm so on the fence about.
You're over it now, hey? I can tell.
I've got no.
It's been going on for a De Jong time, isn't it?
A long time, yeah. But look, I think we have to get him because it'll be embarrassing if we don't. We've gone all in for all the eggs in the one basket. And look, Ten Hag must really want him. And as I said last week, he's had to have had a conversation with him to say that I think the biggest thing that's holding it back at the moment is Barca owes him 17 million worth of wages. So, that's a normal thing. No one's going to leave a job when someone's owed that much money until when Barca
I wouldn't leave if they
owed
me $17, Rob.
Exactly. So look, I think this will happen. I think it still could be a little bit more of a saga. I'm not expecting in the next week, to be honest. But once, look, again, with Barcelona and their financials, I don't know how they're even still making signings. And every day I wake up to a Fabrizio Romano tweet saying this player wants. I don't know why they all want to go to Barca number one, but he wants 50 million here. He wants 75 million here. Like these clubs are about to go into like administration and they're buying players like this. I just don't understand who's balancing their books over there.
Look, and I think the thing with Barca, because obviously looking at not Ten Hag, Raphina, that now if I'm Chelsea, because I never thought Arsenal were actually in for Raphina. And I've said that on other streams as well. I genuinely didn't think we were in, but I do think Chelsea were in for him and wanted him. Now, if I'm Chelsea or any other club that's wanting Raphina, and him and his agent are stuffing me around because we want to see if Barca can find some nickels under this chair, like, no, you go. You leave this guy. So, to me, Raphina, I think he could potentially shoot himself in the foot here because if you upset those clubs that are in for you, they may not come back this season. Then you're stuck at Leeds. No offense, David. I know you're in the chat. You're stuck at Leeds another season, or at least until January. For me, I think the saga's dragged. And I'm skeptical about how Barca are approaching their transfers because
why do you think everyone wants to go to Barca? That's what I can't
look,
understand.
mate, they're a prestigious institution. They're one of the global elites of sport. They're a brand. They're an icon of football.
No, I'm not. It's got nothing to do with that. But why now? Why? I feel like every player wants to go. Like, even like
because you want to be the man who's the part of that rebuild. You want to spearhead that rebuild, be the face of the Messi-less Barca. Like to me, it's all got a bit messy now, and I feel like Barca are thinking short term, which to me is very, very dangerous because they're selling off rights to get as much cash in now as they can. But I don't know if they're necessarily taking the best deals financially for themselves. So they might be getting that cash in now to scrape Raphina over the line, but they need more than Raphina to be back in that Champions League winners circle. And I think they're playing a really dangerous game. I don't think they collapse, but this hunt for glory now could be something that comes back to bite them on the backside in a couple of years.
And you'd think they'd be offloading. Yeah. Like, you'd think they get 85 mil or whatever for Jong or whatever they're going to get. So they are trying to somewhat offset it. But even the fact that they're going to renew Dembele's contract as well.
Yep.
And they also want to get Alonso and Azpilicueta as well. So
I
jokingly looked up the transfer market list. And it's like all the available players, that's like their short list. Like they're unstoppable at the moment. You got to respect the hustle.
The same thing with like a Robert Lewandowski. For him to actually come out and say, I want to go to Barca, like he's still got a year left on his contract at Bayern, which for me would be in a much better position if he wants to go for another Champions League win this year. To say, my time's done with Bayern, I want to go to Barcelona. That's what I mean. I just don't understand what's the pull about going there right now. He's always wanted to go to Real Madrid. So for him to come out,
you're putting all your cards on the table by saying that as well. Like,
Ben Jacobs just came out, just said it. Just goes, if Lewandowski becomes a genuine option, which should be apparent after Barca's latest offer, Tuchel is very much in favour of pursuing him much more so than Ronaldo. PSG also monitoring Lewandowski's situation, but this early in the window, he's going to give Barca time. So you're right. Everybody wants to go to Barca for some odd reason now.
That's what I mean. If I was him, if I was Raphina, like I said, and Chelsea were in for me, like as a neutral, for me, I'd be going to Chelsea. Like they're a lot more stable. Again, I think he's definitely going to get a pay packet just as much as he is, wages wise as he's in Barcelona, and they've got a team that can probably challenge as well. So I don't understand. Like I said, even if they do sell Jong to us, even if it's 65 million and eventually 20 million on bonuses, which is never promised. 75 million is what they're saying for Raphina, 50 million for Robin Lewandowski, and plus 100 other players in line. It doesn't make up how they're going to do their books, but I guess we'll see.
All right, let's move on. Because we know that those guys in the boardroom and who are signing the deals and doing the business are very important to their teams. A question I have for you boys, and we have talked about this in the past, is about another man who is meant to be extremely important to his team, and that's the captain. Now, my reaction to Odegaard being strongly rumoured to be Arsenal's captain this season was one of shock. I don't dislike Odegaard. He's grown on me. I think he's improved as a player. But do I get captain vibes from him?
No way.
Absolutely not. And obviously, saying something that's not overly positive or, kissing backsides about Arsenal on Twitter, you end up in heated discussions where people tell you that you're a Spurs fan or you don't know what you're talking about or you're a fake, negative, toxic fan. But
you're such a plastic man.
I don't get vibes from Odegaard that he's a captain. And
I get more vibes off of Ben White than Odegaard for captain.
Mate, someone did say to me, though, in that conversation, captains aren't even that important anyway these days. Like, it's for the coin toss and for wearing an armband. And then we had, with your club, Robbie, Ten Hag coming out saying that Mcguire will remain as captain. And not you, but a lot of those fans who said, we're going to back Ten Hag, we're going to trust his process, we're going to buy in, had already turned on his first big decision. we'll talk about Odegaard. We'll talk about not Arteta, Mcguire. But RJ, let's start with you. And I'm picking on you because I saw you eating, mate. Don't eat on stream. It's rude. What do you think the role of the captain is in modern football? Do you think that it's an important job, or is it just a symbol?
No, I'm old school, man. It's important to me. I don't know. I just think I'm one of those people that I don't necessarily ring fence leader as someone that needs to be in the John Terry mold where they're picking up people and yelling at them and chest beating and all of that. Don't get me wrong, I love the passion and all of that too. A loud captain can be inspiring, but sometimes a good captain is just simply a leader by example and a role model in what they do. And they're the first to turn up to training. They're the one that does the lung-busting runs in defense and a counter-attack. It's the ones that just inspire those around them, man. And I think you look back at all of the title-winning campaigns and you get a variety of different captains, but the whole belief that the influence or importance of the captain has diminished over time, it's just not something I buy into, because I just think ultimately it's a team sport. And like any good team, you need someone at the front that's going to steer the ship. So, yeah, in terms of Odegaard, it's interesting because, yeah, captain's his national team. He's obviously 23. He's had a season in the PL to get familiar with his environment. It's a bold call, so to speak, but ultimately there must be characteristics and traits that Arteta sees and analyzes and works out that he seems to be a good fit. So you've got to maybe trust that. But, yeah, it's an odd choice, I've got to say.
I just want to acknowledge as well my man from the Arsenal Therapy podcast, because this is who I was we were having this discussion together. We were on the same kind of same side of the coin with this, but I might share my thoughts on Odegaard and then we'll jump to Mcguire, Robbie. Here you can see one viewpoint on a captain saying the captains are needed to get the team through the tough periods. They need to rally the troops, get on the same page. For me, I like that old school captain who's vocal on the pitch. The captain needs to be someone who understands what the manager wants. And I think that Mikel Arteta probably sees a little bit of himself in Odegaard. Arteta was always said to be really studious, very close to Arsene Wenger, an intelligent guy. I see all those things in Odegaard too. And I'm not saying he'll never be an Arsenal caliber captain. I just don't think now is the time. There's going to be a lot of pressure on our club this season. We buckled fourth. And in those games that were so pivotal in buckling fourth, I didn't see Odegaard step up. I saw him kind of just going through the paces. I do think there are leaders in that club. I would go with Ramsdale. Ramsdale, for me, the goalkeeper, he organises the defence. He's vocal. He's passionate. I like a vocal captain. Someone like Gabriel Mcguire, wouldn't mind him as the captain. I think, again, the language barrier for him is tricky, but he's that fighter. He's the guy who'll put his body on the line, who'll chuck himself in front of a shot. Or, out of left field, a Gabriel Jesus. When he was subbed on in our friendly against Nuremberg, right, everybody lifted. He gave that lift. He's got an aura about him. The guy's a Premier League winner. He's a guy who's won more than our squad combined. I feel like that might be one of those moves where someone could really lead by example, could inspire the troops. But in saying that, I don't think we have an ideal candidate. But they're just three candidates that I think would be better picks than Odegaard. And I know he's captain Norway, but let's face it, it's him or Haaland. There's not, Norway aren't under significant pressure, expected to go deep in tournaments and do big things. So I was just really disappointed that this was the news, because I don't think it's his time yet. I think there's plenty of time for him, and it's just not now. But what about Mcguire? There was a question up here, Rob, and I just want to find it here from Sammy. What's one rationale for Mcguire being your captain? Like, why do you think Ten Hag's said that Mcguire is staying as your captain?
For me, it's not to throw him under the bus. First hit out. It's pre-season. Obviously, trying to have a bit of positivity. I think the last thing he wants to do is say in his first match interview, kind of okay, I haven't decided on my manager, on my captain or something like that. Number one, I don't think there's not a lot of people in the team that could probably put their hand up for captain. Number two, he hasn't brought in any of his players yet, to be honest. Again, there's still a long window. Just because he said he's the captain, that's the captain for now. It's not to say for me, Concrete is going to be captain for the rest of the season. And sometimes you can have a captain that doesn't even be on the field sometimes. If he was to be replaced and not, in the starting 11, he could be captain, but, he's just captain on the bench because there's always going to be a captain on the field. So I've seen that happen before. It's even, back at the end of Rooney, when Rooney was captain, and for a while he was coming off the bench towards the back end of his career, and then obviously there's always going to be a captain on the field when we had Valencia or an Ashley Young, who both of them weren't really really captain materials compared to some of the past captains we've had. So look, I think it's to give maybe him a bit of a confidence for Harry Mcguire. Some of the things, he did come out with a weird sentence to back it up, kind of saying he's had a lot of great success. Harry Mcguire hasn't had any success. You could probably say he's had some really good runs with the England national team. Made a European final, and he was one of the best players for the Euros last year. But besides that, I think maybe he might have got a championship promotion. Besides that, he's never really won in that kind of success. But especially coming off the back of one of his worst seasons, I think this is just not throw him under the bus. He's probably trying to give him a bit of confidence again going into the season. I still think this is up for grabs. I don't think this is going to be his man, 100%. There is a chance that he can continue. But for me, I said last year, Harry Maguire's got to be taken out of the limelight. I think he would probably perform a little bit better under pressure, without the pressure of the captaincy, being United captain. But again, for me, David De Gea, his possibility. Yeah. Ronaldo, for me, if he stays, why wouldn't you give him the captaincy? This guy's captained Portugal over 100 times, mate. He's a leader. He's won it. He's done everything in the game. Even if it's a short-term thing for a year, if he's still there, I'd be giving him a captain.
That's interesting. That last notion's interesting, just about the Ronaldo thing, because obviously all the noise about him leaving and then to be the leader of this group now.
But at the moment, it's just
I get
noise.
the logic.
At the moment.
Well, where there's smoke, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's a lot of noise.
There is, but it wouldn't surprise me if he stayed this season. Yeah, and he got the captaincy. I think most people wouldn't even bat an eye at it. I think they'd be fine with it.
I think that's part of his legacy talking, but and maybe that's right, and maybe he's earned that sort of reprieve, if you will. But I just think, who else in our United squad? There's not many.
Bruno, De Gea.
De Gea is a big leader. He's been there for a long time, but he's obviously a bit on the fence with your fan base too. But your point, Scott, I think we're in alignment in terms of the old school mentality. And it's nice to have vocal leaders out there because they can help get people through the rocky periods, let's call it. But I also think there was a comment made about some of our clubs, and you're lacking that definitive leader at times. And I remember the one time that really stood out for me was during the League Cup final a few years ago with the whole Sarri Kepa situation. In a different time or in a different situation, or a club captain might have stepped in and said, guys, let's just sort it out, get off the pitch type thing, rather than let that embarrassing set of events take place. So, yeah, man, this just comes back to the point that the captains, if you get it right, can be so important. And conversely, if they don't have that influence, it can really derail a team season, I think.
Always an interesting topic. And it's subjective as well, because different people have different views of what the captain role should be. So looking forward to seeing what's happening. And of course, look, if Odegaard's named captain, I'll back him. Right? I'll back him until he gives me a reason why I shouldn't back him. But yeah, I just think it's too soon. I don't think it's a question of potential or capability. I just think not yet. But let's move on, boys, because we know that Fantasy Premier League is upon us. Fantasy Premier League is coming back soon. We may not go too far into preseason friendlies because there's still a lot to play. So maybe we can come back to that in our next show. But looking at Fantasy Premier League, I have to ask, RJ, have you started your team yet?
Not the team, but I've started doing a bit of research, a bit of looking around, seeing what's sort of topical. And yeah, and I tell you what, it's getting a bit of interest because I like to understand what are some of the more value buys, and also even the fixtures thing. Who am I to? Yeah, FPL rubber ducky. What's FPL? how would we know, mate? But in all seriousness, for me, I think one piece of advice that I've been copying across all the different places I'm researching is around trying to really factor in the fixture difficulties for a period of time. So looking ahead to a 5 to 7 game basis, understanding the degree of difficulty and trying to look for some players that might stand out as well. So yeah, it's going to be fascinating, man. Hopefully we can get a bit of momentum early and kick on from there.
Robbie, have you started?
I have done my first draft. Look, I've been doing FPL for years and years. I enjoy it. Probably last year, like, it was after I actually let it go after
COVID
Christmas.
missed it, man.
That's what it was. It was at December
That's what
time and all
killed it.
those, and then there was just too many things, man. Every time, if they were a little bit more lenient and gave a bit more free transfers around that COVID time, because you couldn't work with it. So yeah, look, I'm happy. I'm looking forward to it this year. I like to be consistent with it. Doesn't take too long, and that's a big thing I like to do. What RJ said, I like to look ahead and kind of set my team up for a good 4 or 5 weeks. Look at the difficulties, so I don't have to make too many transfers. But yeah, I have done my first draft, and I've noticed a lot of teams this year are going to have a lot of the same players around that first part of the season.
Yep.
So it's rather stick with everyone else so you don't fall behind, or there's going to be a few people that are going to take a risk on with some differentials and try and make that difference. Because I've had a look and so many people have posted up. I reckon 90% of their teams are all the same. There might be a little, very one or two people maybe different in midfield.
So no United players, right, Robbie? Just to be
I've actually stuck one differential and I got one United players because I'm all head, not heart.
Can we guess who it is? Can we take a guess?
Yeah, go for it.
Rashford for me.
Scotty, what do you reckon?
I'm with RJ. Rashford.
Yeah, you hit the name. Hit the nail on the head. For 6.5, I think he's in midfield.
Yep.
He's, there's 6.5 for a midfielder who's possibly going to play in the front three. That's like what Salah's been since he's been around. He's always gets a midfield, even though he takes the penalties. He's pretty much in the front and make them their main goal scorer. So that's definitely value there. I reckon under Ten Hag, I'm hoping under Ten Hag that he gets a little bit of a refreshed year after a shocker last year. But 6.5 is is definitely worth a risk.
We'll have to keep an eye on these too. Borche's putting out some FPL videos. Make sure you keep an eye on them too. Check out the Football Capital. They do some good stuff over there. Rashford, 6.5, definitely. And one thing here, it's either Mo Salah or no Salah. And I mean, do you take this guy in who is consistently at the top points-wise, but who's going to impact other areas of your team? Because your outlay and then what you've got in other areas, I've got Salah. I've taken Salah in my first draft.
Well, like I said, I'll lie. I've done 2 drafts. I made a first draft and had no Salah, and I liked it. But again, I kind of got worried about how many people, everyone has him, and like he's the type of person. Or every year that I feel like they have a Norwich or a Fulham or one of the promoted teams' first game, he scores like a hat trick, I think it's been the past since he started back in the Premier League. He scored a goal every opening match of the season as well. He's got crazy stats like that. So, but I actually had Diaz in there instead of him just for price value. Just because I've always been I love my midfielders, but this year I've gone hard, heavy on my defenders again because that's where all the points are this year, mate.
8 million Diaz as well, I think.
8 million compared to 13, man. And I think that he'll contribute. He'll get assists and he'll get goals. Probably not as much, and he won't be on penalty duties like Diver, Mr. Mo Salah. But the defenders are where it's at for me, mate. And they're not cheap anymore either. Your Cancelos, your Chilwells, your Reece James, Trent Alexander-Arnold, obviously one of the most expensive ones. But, mate, the way that they bomb up and down the flanks now and they assist and set pieces and stuff, that's where I like to look at.
It's just a few here. I've just chucked up a few of the big positional changes. Rodrigo in the midfield now. Joelinton in the midfield. He's someone that might be worth a look in, Joelinton. The way he finished the season, you got ASM 6.5 now in the midfield too. So some interesting players, and Havertz being moved up to forward. Is he someone you'll look at, RJ?
For sure, in terms of that that position there, it's because he's obviously a goal-scoring type play. You lose the clean sheet type thing, but at the same time, he gets more points from being in more goal scoring positions. So I just think that's going to be quite interesting. But another overlay that's not FPL specific, but will no doubt have FPL implications, is the whole 5 sub rule. I mean, there's going to be a lot more rotation now, a lot less minutes because there's more rotation going on. So, like I was looking at, I'll give you a wild card person I was thinking about up front, Perisic, for example. Obviously, an attacking-based fullback. Tottenham starts reasonably well.
Harry Kane goes all right
he's
on
done
the cross.
good, goes all right on the cross. So with Son as well. So you just think someone like that. But then I thought about it based on how intense Kante's system is, and with the 5 sub rule, is that an increased propensity that he's going to do a lot more subbing going on to try to preserve someone like Perisic? Because if you look at his couple of recent seasons, he's had a few little injury scares. So, yeah, once you get into it, it gets quite full on.
Yeah, even just quickly with Mr. Chris 99, he's put up Cucurella there, and I really like Cucurella. The thing I haven't gone with him, his links to City. If he does get linked to City, I can see him being like a Nathan Ake player at the time. He got bought 50 million and is not going to be a starter. That doesn't mean he's not going to be an important part of the team, because Pep loves to rotate, but I can see him. No. I said, like, when they bought Ake, he was never a starter. He was like, he got brought in every couple of weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cucurella is a great player. For like last year, he was great for FPL. But if he was to get bought by a City, there's no way he's going straight into that team. He'll be a cup player. Yeah, he'll be like when they're under the pump and they're playing 3 games a week and they need a bit of a rotation. Just, he's going to be like a Zinchenko. So Zinchenko's a perfect person. He's really good, but again, doesn't get enough minutes. So that's why I would stay away from Cucurella at the moment.
It's interesting here when you look at the most selected players so far, and this was put out the other day. No shocks with Haaland at 64.4%. I've got him in mind because I think he's just going to bang in the goals for fun. Mo Salah second. I'm sure this would be the first time in a while he hasn't been top. Trent, Perisic. Now, it's interesting, and I'd love it if he could elaborate, but Perisic is the biggest trap in FPL this season. To me, I've got him in mind.
I took him out. And
I wonder if it's because of the reasons why we were mentioning. But yeah, keen to hear in the chat maybe if you share why.
Well, they got Chelsea's second game as well, number 1, and I don't think that'll be a high scoring. I know it's 1 game, but they haven't got a crazy great. They haven't got all greens and stuff on the hard part. So it'll be interesting compared to the other players like Liverpool players, etc. In that same, even Chelsea to an extent. Like I think that Spurs haven't got an easier run as those other 2 teams. So you'd go for like a Trent Alexander-Arnold or a Robertson or someone, Cancelo or someone like that for now anyway.
RJ, any of these guys shock you?
Not really. I suppose I didn't expect, I don't know, Haaland, maybe because I'm risk averse naturally. I didn't expect him straight away to be as big. I knew he'd be popular. I just didn't expect him to be as popular. And yeah, I think to Rubberducky's point there, I think Son, based on last season, deserves a bit more respect from the punter. But the price, again, it's a trade-off. But he's so effective as well. So, yeah, it's interesting, man. I need to do a proper study of it all.
Yeah, Son priced me out of it. I can't afford him. He's
How much was he?
But he's nearly isn't he like 12 and a half or 13? He's right up there. Like I think he's the most expensive or second most expensive in the game. So, when it's between that and a Salah, you'd probably go a Salah. Again,
this is a concern. Now, when I clicked Haaland into my team, and if I do remove any of my big players, it's going to be Haaland. It'll be Haaland out, Kane in. I don't think he's going to flop. I just think he's going to take a little while to heat up, and then once he heats up, he's just going to bang him in for fun. Can you take that hit at the beginning before then potentially he has a price increase if he starts playing really well? I don't know, but I was a bit reluctant with Haaland because I thought it's Haaland or Harry Kane for me. And Brody, nice to have you in here too. A new name that we haven't seen before. Make sure you hit that sub button. And we haven't said it yet. It's been 39 minutes and we haven't said smash that like button. So please leave a like on the video as well. We are almost done talking FPL. Then we're going to get to some quick fires. But on Spurs, boys, on a little tangent, Tell me you saw that footage from their training session where I think they had to do 42 shuttles up and down the field. Mate, the players, and these are elite athletes, even if they've had a bit of a break, they were busted. Kante and his staff are whipping Spurs into shape. Did you see that footage, RJ?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I don't know what was longer, the amount of running they had to do or their trophy drought. So to be honest, it was pretty full on for them. In all seriousness, just kidding, of course, being a proud Chelsea fan. But yeah, you know what? If I'm a Spurs fan, that's exactly what I want to see. You want to see them hitting the ground running. It's no good just buying players on paper because they need to deliver. They need to be fit. They've got a lot of expectations this season. And we'll see if they ultimately can cut it both physically and mentally, given that they're not used to this rigorous regime.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Robbie, any words on that? Are you starting to get nervous about Spurs?
No, look, I said last week, right now in this transfer window, they're definitely having a great window. They're bringing players in. They're bringing players that Conte want in, who are normally for the right now. But again, it's a long window. I think a lot of the other, like your Chelsea's, the United, even your Arsenal, I still think they've got a lot of work and a lot of business to be done. If not, it's just their fault if they're not going to compete. Because, yeah, like I said, they finished the season quite strong. They've got their Champions League, which is a big boost. They've got their world-class manager. So everything's pointing in the right direction for them at the moment. But, again, everything looks good on paper. That doesn't mean it's going to transfer onto the pitch. That's the big question for everyone.
Boys, before we do some quick fires, obviously in some more local league news in the A-League, we saw a huge signing in Nani going to Melbourne Victory. To me, and RJ and I were having this chat today, when you look at a marquee signing in the A-League, you've got to kind of look at A, how does that player market? B, what shape are they in at this point in time? And C, at what point in their career are they? Like we were saying, Del Piero, probably in terms of player, the best player in terms of history, awards, accolades to ever play in the league. But he came in really quite old. I think this Nani signing may rival that.
35, man. That's great. Great age. 35 for a marquee of his caliber. He's got to be in the top 5 marquees in A-League for me.
Yeah, look, for Melbourne Victory, they've got a handy little squad that they're putting together. And I just think it's a massive coup. We've also got Charlie Austin playing down in Brisbane. Another good player. When you look at his age, he's by no means at the twilight of his career. I'm curious to see how he does too. I have a feeling he might bang in a fair few goals this season as well. RJ, any thoughts on Nani?
Oh, it's fantastic, man. And put club rivalries to the side because we're Bulls fans and we'll touch on the hot speculation around that. But it's just good for the league. We're local. We're Aussie footballers at heart. We're passionate fans and we just want to see the league itself grow and thrive. And obviously, 1 or 2 marquee players isn't going to shift the dial enough, obviously. But you can take steps in the right direction to get these important names and profiles to at least get some positive injection and noise to get the season moving. And they need to be able to get the attention of the generalist fan to be able to attract a bit more interest because we are competing with a lot of other rival codes. And unfortunately, until we keep doing that, we're going to struggle. But huge signing. I'm happy for Melbourne. I say lightly because I'm not a Melbourne fan, of course. But I think it's good that the league is going this direction and hopefully get a few more other players. And one really big one, hey, Scott, from a Bulls perspective.
Anyone in the UK looking at this, you are not reading that wrong. You're not reading that wrong. Cesc Fabregas, has been strongly linked with local team MacArthur Bulls. Now, tell you what, if they can get this over the line, if any team in the league can get Cesc Fabregas over the line, that is a huge signing in terms of where he's at in his career, his ability now and his ability over his career and what he's achieved. To see Cesc Fabregas potentially playing 20 minutes from home would be the stuff dreams are made of for me, and I'm so buzzing for it. Even
And
if
we'd
you
get
don't
him on the pod.
podcast,
Hey, boys, we'd get Cesc on the pod. I think we could fit him in.
mate.
100%, mate.
You know what? We just have to suss him out in Campbelltown and have a bit of a yarn. Robbie, I know like none of us boys are heavy into the A-League. My love affair with it has been on and off over the years. Obviously, I've been a member, been in active support, kind of been around then watching more from home. I know, Robbie, that you as well, you've kind of been like me a little bit up and down with it, but do you think these signings can really help bring some more interest?
Look, I hope so for the league because, again, they're always up and down in the A-League. As last year they had this big launch again. This is their big, they had all the money coming into it. They had this big launch. It's the new era of the A-League. And, if we were frank, last year was probably nearly the worst in, attendances. And I wouldn't say quality. The quality was decent. But, for the launch they had, and for the change of channels and, all the backing that they had, I think that it was a bit of a flop of a season. But look, Anani straight away, for me, is right up there. He's right up there with a top marquee signing. And this is what I call a marquee signing. I've seen before when they're like marquee signing and some guy that played second division Bundesliga that no one's heard of or something, But this is a proper guy, The guy's got more Premier Leagues than Arsenal. So when that's the case,
Why?
I think. What do you mean? Why?
Why?
That's just it's the truth,
Why?
mate. Look, mate, you've thrown heaps of low blows, man. I can throw one or two if I want. No, but look, Chingiano as well, Del Piero. I even think probably the last one that delivered was Diamante at Western United. I thought he was a really good marquee signing and actually proved got bums on seats. That's what they want, bums on seats, but to keep the bums on the seats. Everyone's gonna rock up and watch one game of Nani or something like that, but it's the consistency of people going to watch it. And one player is not going to do it. They're going to need to get maybe a Cesc Fabregas or another one or two, because that year, I think when they had the Del Piero and the Shingianos, that's when there was beating them. But that was 10 years ago now. So look, it's a great addition to the A-League. And for me personally, I'm going down to Melbourne on Friday night. Obviously, United's playing Melbourne, and Nani's already come out and said, I'm already keen to play against United. So that'll be, for a United fan, they'll be even a touch of class.
Oh, wow, that'd be nice. Well, look, boys, always a pleasure getting together. We are going to do some quick fires now. We're at that time of the evening, and we know, Robbie, that you are heading off to Melbourne for the pre-season tour. So we wish you good luck with that. There won't be a show on Thursday evening. Robbie's heading off to Melbourne. RJ and I will be doing some planning and scheming to get ready for the following week, but we will then be back in 1 week's time next Tuesday. Let's end with some quick fires. Robbie, you first.
All right, boys, something a bit different tonight. Hit or miss for some of the transfers. And this is think about it as towards the end of the season, how you think that we'll be saying if they were a hit or they were a miss. So Sterling to Chelsea, will it be a hit or a miss? Or a miss?
I think you'll be a cheers. Nah, you'll definitely be a hit. I love the notepad, by the way. You're looking like a correspondent.
Very
Definitely
clever.
Love it. Yeah, I think you'll be a hit. Haaland to City.
Hit.
Eventually a hit, but we'll go hit.
I'll go hit as well. Nunes to Liverpool.
Miss.
Hit.
I'm going to go miss on this one as well. Pogba to Juve.
Miss.
Hit.
Richarlison to Spurs.
Miss.
Miss, like Rosetta the Stadium miss. Terrible.
I think this is a big miss. I think this is a big miss. And last but not least, it's not official, but it's 98%. Eriksen to United.
Hit.
Hit if he doesn't go. Just kidding. I think he'll be a hit if he does go.
I agree. I do think, non-biased, I do think he'll be a hit in some part. That's
Just
mine.
quickly, Harrison, mate, look, I'm going to be completely honest with you. If anyone's going to give you, my biggest tip to give you would be don't listen to anything the three of us say in terms of how to improve your team. That is the best way we can help you. FPL Rubber Ducky might be able to give you some tips. If you post it as a comment, he might reply and help you out. But, mate, you don't want to listen to us three. That's for sure. That's the biggest tip I can give you. The absolute biggest one. We got any more?
That's it for hit and misses. I've done a few. You guys
FPL
got
Rubber
quick ones?
Ducky put one, I think, didn't he? I'll go
Miss.
up. I'll go first. Miss. I've said that.
Hit. He's too good.
I'm going to go miss, as in they're going to miss the opportunity to get him. So it's not going to happen.
Yeah, sure.
Spicy. RJ, you're up.
Yeah, well, shifting codes ever so slightly. We got a big decider, State of Origin tomorrow night. Go New South Wales for any Queenslanders watching. So State of Origin related questions for you. Favorite Origin moment?
Or can I go favorite game?
Yep, sure.
Yeah, I can't remember what year it was, early 2000s. I think it was 56-6. I remember Ryan Gergler was in that team, got the intercept. That was just, even though it was a flogging, mate, we're just beaming. That was a cracker year.
I can't remember the year either, but it was the year Hazem El Masri kicked for the win.
I remember that one, yep.
The guy, he was only ever going to get that one game of Origin, and him kicking for the win.
Did Hazem score a try? I'm pretty sure he scored a try in that game, Hazem. I'm sure he got one. Yep.
Kicked for the win from the sideline.
Yep.
So you don't have a favorite moment, Rob. You're just choosing that whole game as your favorite moment.
Yeah. You know what? Something different. Was that the game also when they done the hand grade celebration? Remember the hand
I can't
grenade?
remember. Yeah, I remember the celebration, but I can't remember the game itself.
Yeah, there's been a couple good biffs. Look, I can't narrow it down. There are a couple good memories that come to mind anyway.
Mate, stop grilling him, RJ. You never answer a question, mate.
That's an old joke,
time
mate.
you want to grill Robbie.
Haven't heard that one for about 5 minutes, so that's good. Look, for me, man, I'm active Blatchy's Blues fan. I've seen a lot of awesome moments. The Tedesco, I sat right in front of him when he scored then. So between that and I'd probably say as well the try from when John's kicked it, Minicello scored, the one off the post, and he scored there. That was awesome. And from the other side of the coin now, great show, by the way, check it out. But worst moment in Origin.
Easy. Kamoli throwing the intercept.
Oh, that was disgusting. Matt Bowen.
That doesn't get worse than that.
Well said. Well said. And just last one on the Origin theme, score prediction for tomorrow night.
36-6, New South Wales.
Wow, blowout. I'm gonna go. I think it's gonna be close, man. I'm gonna go 22-18, New South Wales, hopefully.
Scott, I thought you were talking about the amount of penalties Queensland we're going to get tomorrow night. Probably
penalty Broncos.
Penalty Broncos.
Right. I reckon, you know what? I think it'll be a bit closer than what people make it out to. I think it'll be 24-16 to the Blues. Hopefully, Teddy to win the man of the match. Scott, over to you, mate.
Boys, just one from me. Obviously, we're all parents here. I want to ask you, what's one thing that you find? We know the kids are great. We know there's plenty of good things. What's one thing that you find really tricky about parenting, or was it a phase or something you had to do? What was one thing that really challenged you about being a parent?
I think there's a few for me. I think mealtime. Mate, they take so long, mate. And the amount of times I tell them, my kids can't stay still at the table either. And I'm so old school. I wasn't allowed to move at the table till I finished everything. My daughters, they have one mouthful, they go for a run. They come back, they have a mouthful. Honestly, it's like 2 hours and have cold food. You know me, boys, I have to have hot food all the time and it's gone. I'm like a quick eater. 30 seconds, I'm finished. My girls, I reckon they take 2 hours per meal. They're so bad. It does my head in.
Love that. RJ, what about you?
Great shout, by the way, Brody. For me, got a young fella, as you know. He's full of energy, and I think probably the toughest part is because he's quite switched on. It's really just trying to outwit him now, to trick him and convince him to do the things I want to do, because now he stops and thinks about it and says, well, how does that really benefit me, type thing. And discipline is slightly different these days to when I was growing up, so I have to be a little bit more sensible in the way I get the right outcome, let's put it that way. Very tricky. I had hair beforehand to give you an insight into how it's going.
Oh, look, for me, I'll keep it short, sharp and sweet. We're toilet training at the moment, and mate, because you don't want to make them feel upset when they have a mistake, but at the same time, mate, just go to the toilet. Just go to the toilet.
Bribery. Mate, toilet training, you need bribery and a lot of rewards. I'm telling you.
I'll tell you what, my patience has been tested significantly over the last week, and I'm looking forward to when this is all said and done because it's been good fun. Anyway, gents, something that's always good fun is talking with you on Tuesday and Thursday nights at 8:30 p.m. Like we said earlier, if you missed it, there won't be a show this Thursday because there's the United friendly. Robbie will be in Melbourne. RJ and I will be scheming, planning, but we'll be back then the following Tuesday. So make sure you jump in then. If you're watching on repeat, leave a comment, maybe with a FPL tip or with your team, and maybe we can give you some advice. Not that you need to listen to it. So leave a comment, chuck a like on the video, share it. It helps us grow the channel. And for all those Manchester United fans that we know travelling to Melbourne, have a safe trip. Enjoy the game. Hopefully you guys lose. But look, enjoy the game. Enjoy the experience. It's once in a lifetime stuff. Robbie, any final words?
No, look, you wrapped that up. You wrapped that up good, mate. But look, I am obviously beaming for Friday. Flying down Friday. A lot of the boys in the chat will be there. I'm just looking forward to it. For me, it's the first time personally watching United live, so I'm wrapped, taking the missus down as well. Yeah, and even tonight, 11 o'clock, we got our first friendly pre-season against Liverpool, so something to watch as well. Start to tune the body into those wake-ups and early wake-ups and late nights again. So, look, again, safe travels to everyone in the chat, and, yeah, we'll see you on the next one.
RJ?
Beautifully said, boys. Just want to throw in there Sydney Super Cup. Going to be some big games coming up down our way, down in hopefully sunny Sydney, that is, in November with Everton, Celtic, Wanderers, and Sydney FC.
Yeah,
I think we're all going to one game or at least a couple of the games.
Yep.
I'm definitely going to Everton, Celtic. Hopefully go to the Everton Wanderers game too. Just
Yeah,
be an
I wanna go
awesome
that one.
experience, I think. So I can't wait to see that.
Good things happening in Australian football at the moment. So hopefully will you see us as one of those good things happening in football, and we can't wait to see you back again. Take care, enjoy your football, and look after each other. See you later, everyone.